Good morning, good morning, good morning. 9:44 a.m. and we're heading on a little bit of rock and roll all the way around about the island of Montreal. Gonna turn my head left or right because sometimes the cars come by that way, although it's a one-way. They can also come by the other side. So rock and roll for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, truckers, grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production distribution of food. It's Monday, 9:44 a.m. 9:44 a.m. I delayed a little bit. I was supposed to leave at 8, then 8:30, then 9, 9:30. Then I missed my 3 deadlines, and you know how it is with yours truly, geopolitics, 24/7 geopolitics. And I couldn't but immerse myself in geopolitical analysis, and of course did some meditations, as it is yours truly, and being an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who of course survived COVID, who's financially stressed now but always open for some business with that. So always grateful, thankful. Rent's paid, electricity bills paid. I'm gonna turn my head left and right here and go all the way to the mountain, my second home on the backpack. Got those red gloves by which I'm challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border ever since 2018. I've been and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, as have been for quite a few years now. I guess it's going on 7. When Donald Trump first imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, that was a mistake, and I am no Trump supporter, far from it. Independent artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical theoretical analyst, and theorist, marching on these steel toes for the butchers, the farmers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food, and some of that youth and the lovers. May 5th was a bit chilly on the morning. Supposedly it's going up to 21, so that's gonna be a banger. Maybe 22, maybe breaking a record on this 5th of May. But now it's feel kind of chilly a little bit. I'm actually a bit chilly. I got short sleeves, as I said. If by 1 o'clock it's going to 18, then by 3, if it's going to 22, I'm gonna take that short sleeve so I don't sweat that much like last time. Encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. Working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. Turn your heads left and right before you cross the street, even if it's your way to go, your turn to go, because you never know. The cars might malfunction. The citizen might press the accelerator instead of the brake, so it always requires a double prudence, you know. Checking out a little bit of blue flowers on the ground, and the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, those who changed some diapers in the daycares already. Gotta salute the daycare workers changing some of those diapers, because you know it is for the North American Collective Workers Party. Let's get rock and rolling. Pledge your allegiance, legions. Our family, independent artist, athlete, philosopher. Going on some geopolitical meditation, emergency again. It's always been an emergency since 2019 with yours truly, when I first, of course, concluded that humanity is set towards an international conflagration back in 2019, you know. That's when I first concluded, and that humanity is set towards an international conflagration, and it's been quite parallel. My prediction came through in many ways, and in a general overall manner, not every detail by detail, but of course much of what I have predicted in October, November 2019 is that of course humanity is directed towards an international conflagration, and I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who have Asperger's, so that is my special interest. Aspies, we're neurodivergent, our brain is different, it's not a mental illness, but that's what it is with that. And hi, that's what it is with that, and a fellow citizen there smiling, saying hello, and that's always good, and friendly neighbors, and my family hero who come to join us, the Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans Collective. Tough times, economic, and there's on the horizon, you know. On the horizon, there's another on that go with that. So on the horizon, it's something which we gotta be doing with that, and something that we have to be meditating on now. That is, of course, something which we gotta be doing on the go with that, and you always gotta get it on the go. So we gotta meditate. Somebody left a little bit of food there. I'm not gonna take, but I was just curious in the fridge. See, thank you to those who made a little bit of that donation. You know, that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing. You know. gotta turn around here, gotta salute the public workers, you know, the public workers, you know. The brains and the muscle, imagine all the machines keeping the city clean, you know. We gotta get back dirty but get back clean, so I gotta sing some rock and roll for those, you know, with the brains and muscle, those machines being built. So I gotta salute some celebration. It's always good to see a little bit of that work being done there. I wonder how it was built, constructed, you know, built, and all that's what it is with that. The machine, you know. Always something which, meditating on how the machine was built, it gives me a little bit of joy, you know, because I pinpoint my own mediocrity, my own lack of knowledge, my own lack of skills in certain areas, you know. I just know really three things, you know. I know geopolitics, sports fitness, and dancing is my favorite sport, and I know rock and roll, but some other things I'm really not that good. Although I can learn, I'm unwilling to learn, and it always brings me joy to meditate and also accept my, I guess, inferiority, you know, being inferior in certain things, and inferior in the terms of the quantification of skills and knowledge and understanding of certain things, and how complex sometimes our civilizational complex of North America, our North American civilizational complex is, and how we pinpoint certain things of which we interject and complement, you know, on the complementary that of that, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we got to get going with that, and that's what we got to get on that skills with that, and that's what we got to keep on that moving with that, and it's something which we got to be interjecting and we got to be meditating upon, because just civilization, think about it, the electricity, having running water, having electricity, the underground work that's being done, you know, to have running water, clean water to drink, potable water, electricity. All this is a really, civilization is a privilege, and that was my thesis, you know, back in 2023. So 2 years ago, but I started writing it before COVID actually. But nonetheless, when I see, you know, such a machine, and it's the citizen fellow worker of the city inside knows how to drive it, how to utilize and the buttons, the machines, and the levers, I guess, to make the broom spin, and all that was built with brains and muscle, you know. So it's something which I put myself in that position of not knowing and being curious, you know. And I know geopolitics because having Asperger's, you know, with Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition. It's just our brains are different, so there's a mutation in the brain. So this mutation in the brain makes us that we see the world through a different lens, right? So I look at the world through a very different divergent manner. At certain things I am vulnerable, at certain things I am mediocre, average, and so-so, while at some other things I am really good, like excellent, super good, especially when it comes to geopolitics. And of course, on the menu today to discuss geopolitics is of course the new emergent. We have several points which are of interest to the world and for the North American Collective, and the NATO-centric specific, is my analysis predominantly is predominant for the North American Collective and for the NATO-centric sphere of the NATO-centric sphere of the North American Collective, you know, of the North American Collective. So being an individual also, you know, and part of this tiny minority of individuals, and you know, Asperger's is really not common. It's less than 1%. Hey, firefighters, LOV firefighters. See the firefighters, gotta send some love. So Asperger's is not common. There's not a lot of people with Asperger's in the world, and I'm part of this tiny small minority. Tiny small minority of less than 1%, less than half of a percent, about 0.44% of the population have Asperger's, or Aspies. So our brains is different, and most of our days spent in a ritualized, routine-like manner are spent basically being involved, doing, meditating, learning. Those special interests. And my holy trinity is geopolitics 24/7, the study, the analysis of geopolitics, which encompasses culture, sports, fitness, finance, the whole civilizational array of complexities that we find. Even religion, spirituality is part of, when you study geopolitics, sometimes you have sectarian religious conflict, so that has to be taken into account when you study geopolitics. And of course, sports, fitness, dancing is my favorite sport, and parallel with that, rock and roll. I go into rock and roll trances and I create both French and English. I guess I can do a little bit of that Spanish, a little bit of Spanish I can do, because in my home underground, and supposedly I've been living there for more than 9 years now, it's been French, English, Spanish, Spanish, English, French, and well, and that's about it with that rock and roll. But those three, rock and roll, sports, fitness, dancing, and marching. Now I'm working out, training, exercising, which I encourage all. And geopolitics is for years and years and years, my whole life revolves around these. And especially since I came out of being depressed and suicidal, in 2017, I always pinpoint my changing of my changes that I've been through. And one of the major changes in a good positive way was in 2017, in October, November, correction, in August and September. August in 2017, I went to British Columbia, Vancouver. And in 2017, September, I went to Halifax, Nova Scotia. So that event really changed my whole life around. Before that, I was depressed. I was suicidal, depressed, suicidal. Crossing Canada coast to coast really established a strong esprit of Canadians. And ever since then, I've been on a fitness journey. I lost between 80 and 93 pounds. And my fitness journey always commences today. So back then, I crossed Canada 2017. So it's been more than 7 years now. And that changed my whole life. That really changed my whole life. My whole life got turned around. I was depressed. I was suicidal. I crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event really transformed my whole life. I started working out, training, exercising, and before that also I was doing geopolitical analysis and whatever the case may be, and going with one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries, and I got memory loss, retrograde amnesia, RA. My memory blacks out before my life, prior to moving from a moldy place on the island of Montreal, metropolis of 2.5 million people. On the island of Montreal, I lived, and I moved, and remember, from a moldy place was a lot of white, black, and greenish, reddish mold, thick mold, lots of mold in the place where I lived, in an underground basement. So I moved. I crossed Canada coast to coast in 2017. Before that, I was depressed, suicidal, and among people with Asperger's is a high rate, higher than the neurotypicals. But again, we're a small minority, because there's not a lot of Aspies in the world. It's 0.44%, not even 1%. So I'm part of this tiny small minority, parallel to being part of the LGBTQ community, being androgynous pansexual. But back to what I was saying is that I moved from that place, and I really moved with nothing. I really had nothing when I moved. I don't even remember what I had, when I moved, whatever the case may be, when I moved from there. And that's what it is with that, when I moved, and that was the new, a new beginning, I guess. And I died during COVID 2020. February was really hardcore. I thought that was my last chapter also. So I had several near death, and in many ways I did die during COVID February, and nothing that I will to go back to, but it's something which I gotta be making on the circumstantial part and aspects of the things which we live by and which we do, on a daily basis to do. And sometimes we just gotta be appreciating the day, the day, because I carpe diem it every day. For all we know, nuclear war might start any second, any minute, any hour, any day, any week, any month, any year, 2025. Some said supposedly nuclear war starts in May. We're in May, we're May 5th special Dragon versus Trump event during the more than 44 years, almost 45 years of the Cold War between 1947 and 1991, how many buildings of nuclear warheads and ICBM rockets were done during the 44 years and 9 months, almost 45, close to 45 years. It lasted a long time, the Cold War, and the mass building of ICBM rockets, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and there's the kids, the joining of the children. They're joyous, happy, and they're innocent, you know. Watch it for the car, and they're innocent, and makes me a little bit of joy. And they look and turn, do a little bit of faces, and they're a little bit of there for the children to do it with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with the love, you know. So they're changing a little bit of diapers, so that's work. And I always say there's a new protocol, you know, for the armed forces, security forces, you know. Should be a new protocol for the Canadian armed forces, for the United States armed forces, to change some diapers in the daycares, because that's where we're fighting primarily, you know. All ages, the youth, the elderly, all in the CHSLDs and the senior homes as well, you know, who contributed for decades and decades and decades, for more than 44 years, to build the North American Collective. And I just gotta look at this beautiful magnolia tree. Oh yeah, just wow, just the beautiful magnolia tree is so gorgeous, you know. Just gotta take a little minute. Wow, that is really unbelievably beautiful here in the corner, just embellishing the neighborhood, you know. So a little bit of beauty in life, you know, but kiss the sun, my Publik king, and the black fertile earth, and all that science, magic science, you know. Mother Nature, goddess, Geodidss, I goddess it, you know. I will to build the forgotten goddess, Geodidss temple. Not that the goddess needs my temple to be built, you know, because she's got the pyramids, dances with the sun, and I'm just a piece of dust with that, you know. But that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the go, you know. So something which we gotta be interjecting, and something which we gotta be seeing, you know. So that is something which we gotta be on the love side of things, you know, because it's so love, you know. It's not all about money, not all about fighting. But here we got some children again, and they're innocent. It's good that they're going out for a little walk. It's always good, you know. It's always good. You know, it takes a little bit of control and a little bit of liberty, freedom, and there, you know, the daycare workers changing some diapers. And this one is a nice, like that one, magnolia. See, it's gonna pop blossom, that one. It's gonna pop blossom, you know. That is gonna be, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing, and that's why we gotta get some of that meditation, you know, of how we're privileges of civilization, and how the children are innocent, and how, you know, all the work, even in the daycares, you know, changing some of those diapers. I sing songs for the daycare workers, changing those smelly diapers. Somebody gotta sing for them. It ain't all about Wall Street. You know, I don't need a beat. I ain't got no money for the guitar. Gotta go with plenty of scars. Gotta go for the go. Gotta go for the no. So that you know, ready to do. Ready for the public workers, they gotta get some of those dirty diapers on the go, and they're doing a little bit of attention here. And I will to build, you know, to just paint the benches, those that need to be a little bit of that paint side, and get a little bit of the painting, and paint with that, and painted with that. And that's what we're gonna get doing, you know. And we gotta get on that chronos, you know, because sometimes it's lifetime. And please, Wall Street, give some charity now. Finance those gonna pick up the garbage. The recycling was all picked up this morning. I got 3 services in my neighborhood, and I actually worked on the compost. I was working on the compost in 2018, a few months, but you know, unfortunately in my community, it's not only a high suicidal and depression rates, although I dealt with that, and I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, Quebecers, and my family, North Americans, the 50 states as well. And here it is, he's speaking about the recycling. Some with brains and muscle with the machines came and picked up those recycling bins. So that is also a little privilege, you know. That is also a little privilege with that. So we got a little of that privilege of civilization sanitation. The sanitation of the great North American collective civilizational complex. I gotta sing for the sanitation workers as well, you know, as I sing for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians, and the welders and construction workers, you know, because I will to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian border to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome, aka Mercedes-Benz, and to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome and the Mercedes-Benz. The Mercedes-Benz, you know, the Mercedes-Benz used to be known as the Mercedes-Benz, now is known as the Caesar Superdome in Louisiana, New Orleans, where my 49ers lost to the Ravens. Baltimore used to be known as the Harbaugh Ball. I mean, the Super Bowl was known as the Harbaugh Ball, aka Blackout Ball, aka Bro Ball. It was a few years ago. My 49ers lost by 3 points, but nonetheless, my will to build on the Canadian-US border, the beautiful yellow, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, to be the biggest ever sports structure built. The biggest ever sports structure built, the biggest ever sports structure built for sportists in perpetuities, for sports in perpetuity. To have 24/7 sports events, the universities, the colleges, the high schools, to have sports in perpetuity, and to have athletic events, and the first inauguration event to be the Dragon versus Trump event, where me and Donald Trump are going to fight it out, and sportsmanship, and we're going to fuse in my dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, via public-private partnership and the implementation of my trinity of theories, the CIT citizen integration theory, the DRT, debt refusion theory, and the DFT, the democratic fusion theory via the fourth dimension, LOVE, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, to be for the collective. To be for the collective. North American collective, the fusion thereof, and get rid of the border, create a common passport, common currency, and the North American Imperial People's SSD League, aka Dragon Army, you know, for SSD, for security, service, and defense, and that's all we're gonna get doing with that, for the security, service, and defense, you know, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's gonna be the only thing, you know, for security, service, and defense, and that's it. That's all. The building of the mass Coliseum, you know, on the building thereof, and construction workers such as this, wow, build pretty fast, and to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple on the Canadian-US border. I guess they sold out maybe already. And I'll watch it here, because sometimes they come fast, and you never know, the brakes malfunction, you know. The citizen presses the accelerator, and you just gotta turn your heads, you know, because if it comes very fast, it doesn't do the stop properly, presses the accelerator instead of the brakes. So that is something which gotta be done, and that is something which we gotta be aware of in the position where we are now, you know, the position when we are in the public. I have myself added responsibilities, duties, and obligation that I wouldn't have not had if I would have stayed home. And you know, I wanted to get to 6 hours today. Last week did a good one. Did a few times 6 hours, and 7 and 4 and 2. So that's 27 hours, because I try to average from Sunday after, when this regular week begins, Sunday after sunset till Friday midnight. I try to do a minimum of 20 hours of marching dance workouts like I do now. And last week I did a good one. 27 divided by 5, that's more than 5, like 5.4, right? So that is above average, because I have to average about 4 hours on the day, Monday to Friday. And plus those 4 hours, I average the same, double that in terms of what I do in geopolitics, because I get back home, I leave in the morning, I watch news, I do geopolitical analysis, revision of my theories, and my beautiful white flower there. So it's sports, fitness, geopolitical analysis, and back to geopolitics. I'm going to discuss now the geopolitics of the Kashmir situation. So again, my special interest Living with Asperger's means that Aspies, we have special interest, also known as obsessive interest, and those interests preoccupy our mental faculties with super intensity, super focus, super concentration. And I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, independent. And I gotta go back to 2019 ago. I concluded what's happening now. Back in 2019 in October and November. So I have concluded that there's gonna be on the horizon an international conflagration, basically World War III. So I've been living in that type of World War III type of mode ever since. So that was in October, November. Watch the car. I'm gonna pass. In October, November, you're passing on red. You gotta be careful because sometimes they come fast. So I gotta watch for my fellow citizens. And that's what it is with that. So back to what I was saying, of course, is that in October 2019, 2019, I predicted what's happening now. That's what it is with that, what happened now. So back in 2019, so I've been in a type of World War III mode ever since. In a World War III mode, That's what I gotta be doing with that. That's what I gotta be doing, in a World War III mode to do, and that's what we're gonna get doing, A World War III mode ever since 2019. So congruently, I also made a workout training program system, designed, made, and created to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario, of which, of course, I have myself done the protocols, and I gotta admire this beautiful White House, This beautiful White House. I could split it in half 50-50 with my anonymous friend, That'll be something which I gotta be meditating on, and it's kind of nice, looking nice. Is gonna get it on the go. And that's what it is with that, so that's what we gotta get doing, Here, there's a little bit of that 8th of May, 8th of May. That's what it is with the flowers there. And that's what it is with the flowers, and that's what it is, the beauty of the establishment of see more maple leaves. I always have my my maple leaf on me, so that is what it is, so that is what it is with that, Imagine all the work, to be done now, and that is what it is, and we gotta get some more working. I guess it's the steps in the sun, It's the steps in the sun, Gotta get on those steps in the sun, and gotta get it for the one, to get a little bit of that and get a little bit of that rock and roll, man. Gotta get it on the go, and gotta be meditating, It's something which we take for granted sometimes, the life. Some more than others. So gratitude is important, Gratitude is important. Last night I was a bit moody, but I took a bath. I felt better. I took a 45-minute bath. So usually I try to average about at least half an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hours even, long bath. I said, I can't afford a massage therapy session. I'm not gonna indulge in self-pity. I have a bathtub and a hot water and bath salts, which were donated from, I think they're from Britain, and a little bit of from Canada, Canadian bubble bath. So I said I'm gonna immerse in a bath, but I was craving a massage therapy session. I was craving a massage therapy session for a few years, but you know what? Wall Street, finance, smells good. I love the smell of fresh grass. I just love it. So back to what I was saying is, of course, that I was, of course, craving a massage therapy session. Yesterday I was sore, because last week I put a little bit of that more than average workout, marching workouts. As spring, summer, autumn, I do a little bit more than winter. Although I do also average 20 hours in the winter. But what are you doing now when I'm doing this video? Working, hugging. Don't waste your time, Just LOV, Just LOV, Just LOV, So that is what it is with that. And please keep the protocols, Keep the protocols. Yeah. Keep the protocols for the COVID, The COVID protocols, The COVID protocols, That's what it is with that. You gotta the protocols for COVID, It's COVID protocols. That's what it is with that. And it's the COVID protocols, man. Public hygiene is super important because there's still microbes, bacteria, and germs. And there's been a revision, The revision was, I'm going to turn right here. The revision was, of course, that supposedly, you see it, there's a stop there. It's in one way, but it's a one way, but they can also come from the other side if they don't know, right? If they don't know, it's possible that they come from the other side as well, So it's possible that they do that, So that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, and that's what we gotta get meditating, for the XYZ, and sometimes which we gotta be on the circumference, in the circle, and gotta be prudent. Turn your heads left and right. Oh, that's nice. I like that spiky. Kind of like a cactus, a mini cactus. But what I do love double trouble is this, wow, yellow bush. This just brings a smile to my face, man. This is just, wow. I'm gonna smell it. Because it's not scented, slightly, very, but it's so gorgeous. I just love it. Oh yeah, baby. See, that brings a smile to my face, brings me some joy. So back to geopolitics now, because another one. Double joy. Thank you. They're so nice. Geopolitics. In 2019, I predicted what's happening now. I got proof. I have proof of work. I have proof of work, and I have a video which discusses it, and consequently I also created, made, and produced a workout training program system to go hand in hand with such a scenario. So I created what I call the General War Integrated Whole Body Training System, aka the Dragon Army workout. The Dragon Army workout, also known as the 300 workout, of which myself I have performed more than 372 sessions. More than 372 sessions. And officially, by that officiatums, I changed my name, Dragon, turned that A into an O, right where I died there in the underground room house and temple. By doing that, I said when I reached 300, but still officially got to pay some money to change my name, to get it for Adrian Hana Dragon, But nonetheless, I changed and turned my A into an O. Change and turn my A into an O, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with the love, So that's the A into an O, and that's what I did. By lots of workouts, and that's all you gotta get doing, and that's what I love to do, and that's what I encourage people to do. And my workout training program system requires no equipment. I take great pride in my geopolitical work and in that creation, in that created for the go, And I love red, so I gotta stare a little bit, but I'm working not to stare too much, So it's something which we gotta be doing here, Crossing the streets prudently, we gotta be on the prudent side, and sometimes we just gotta take a step back, because you never know, Gotta take a step back and just gonna meditate on what's written here. I can't see. I think it's past maybe a few years back, but sometimes we just gotta be doing, and Oh, there's my turn, and I gotta admire little machines, man. Little machines like that, and that is a little bit of that machine. Again, the big one before, and now we see the small one. So my fellow citizen, and I know we need a lot of new ones. That's why my DRT, debt refusion theory, is gonna come in handy and on time for 2025, because it's an emergency which we gotta propagate. And here they are, the children doing a little bit of dance and holding hands, and that's always nice to see them joyous. They're joyous and happy, and that brings me happy. Be careful though. Be careful, careful, careful. Just run wild, run playfulness, but you gotta be careful with that. They're happy, I'm happy. Yeah. See, that's worth defending, that's worth fighting for, and being armed and getting that dragon army. That's it. Now I'm happy, you know. Gotta salute the youth, man. That's why we gotta get that dragon army, you know. For them roaming freely, joyously, and that's what it is with. That's how we gotta get doing with the XYZ, and that's how we gotta get loving for that, you know. It's their future here in the North American Collective and across the 50 states. Across the 50 states. Across the 50 states or 50 states, and that's what it is, you know. It's across the 50 states, man. Plus the 10 provinces and 3 territories, you know. It's the eye of Horus, maybe above, you know. That's how we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get on that circulation. The last set. And the last. Oh, the sun shines nicely. See, where's the ancient Egyptian that I saw the other time? I saw it before, but now it was gone, I guess. Somebody purchased it and bought it. I guess they got some donations. Got some donations. They're gonna sell a bit of discount, and you know, most of my purchasings have been from there. Not this one specifically, some from here, Renaissance, but some from the other. Renaissance, it's a second-hand thrift store, but most of my clothes from now are either from my anonymous friend, who wasn't my friend because of the money, or of course from the thrift store. The thrift store second-hand. You know, that's what I gotta get doing from the second-hand. So I gotta be turning here. We're gonna go a little bit on that. Actually, we're gonna go straight this time, but all the way to the mountain. I just wanted to see those flowers there, but oh, trade those flowers or these flowers. I guess these are in the sun and more proximity. Look at these. What a gorgeous rock and roll, man. I love it. Just love how they plant it, and I guess you go up parallel with the stairs, and it's kind of classy, kind of cool, kind of love it. I love yellow flowers, all sorts of flowers. I just love bright flowers, bright colors, you know. I don't mind black and white together, black, white, and red. I don't mind a little bit of gray, but mostly on the. I also love the combination black and red. I guess black and red and white together, you know. So that's what it is now, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing with that, you know. And there's another magnolia thing, so gotta check my vision again because it's kind of blurred from afar. But that's what we gotta get doing on the blurred, on the rock and roll. So that is something which we gotta be doing, and we gotta be transmitting about, and we gotta be on the transposition, you know. Here and is where I died, and here's where I'm being reborn, and dragon became dragon, turned that A into an O with blood, sweat, and tears, you know. Nobody's born a dragon. And you got some more beautiful flowers there, which I love, and you know, I love those little yellow flowers there, and that's what we gotta get doing for the love, you know. Little yellow flowers. So geopolitics, I predicted what's happening now in 2019. 2019, I had predicted an international conflagration. So I have the proof because I have the video which dates from October 2019. As you know, I'm a YouTuber, and I guess I got like a main channel, a second and a tertiary channel. I gotta do a new Facebook, and gotta do a little bit of that new Facebook with that, and gotta get it for the go. And it's something which, of course, meditate on my work as a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, which is not just theory, but it's analysis and it's philosophy. And my philosophy's analysis, you know, is for the North American Civilizational Collective, for the collective North American Civilizational Complex for North America, because I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American. I believe in my dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. The dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom manifests for a public-private partnership for the fusion thereof of Canada and the United States via this public-private partnership, and by the implementation of my Trinity of theories. The CIT, citizen integration theory, the DRT, detriment fusion theory, the DFT, democratic fusion theory, and that Trinity of theories, of course, to be implemented via love for the creation of the North American Integrated Dance League, DGA, Dancing Goddess Army. Look at beautiful white flowers here. And the Dragon Army, aka the North American Security Service and Defense League. Only Dragon Army to function only for SSD. Get acquainted with the Dragon Army cadences. Pledge your allegiance. Legions is fundamentally a call for a new institutions. Double trouble, two complementary covenant cooperative institutions. The Dragon Army, aka North American Imperial SSD Legion. Pledge your allegiance. Legions, the our family. And of course the Dancing Goddess Army for the North American Collective, to get the North American Collective for the implementation of the Dancing Goddess Army, the implementation of the Dancing Goddess Army, and that's what it is with that. And for the 50 states plus 10 provinces plus 3 territories, so for the 63 as the cadence goes. You can get acquainted and started those cadences back about a few weeks ago, and gonna continue, of course, working on the Dragon Army cadences. So now a little bit of geopolitics before the DRT of the geopolitics of today. So the new conflict on the horizon, possibilities for India and Pakistan. There was a pogrom terrorist attack, pogrom terrorist attack, and the disputed territory of Kashmir. You know, this disputed territory of Kashmir is a territory which have again and again, this conflict dates from the 20th century, and of course that was my premise. Of course, and of course the motive, which I had predicted, that there's gonna be a Third World War and international conflagration, is of course due to the fact that due to the fact that many nation states, civilizational complexes, regions did not fully resolve their 20th century conflicts. So that was the main premise, the main factor behind but many others, but that was one of the more important ones. That conflicts from the 20th century were not fully resolved, and thus they're going to be reigniting with intensity. And that's what's happening in the Middle East. Israel, Hamas. Hamas is an organization which began in the 1980s, operations in the 1980s. And of course, another one, Russia, Ukraine. Russia, Ukraine is another one. Russia, Ukraine. It dates from the Cold War, the 20th century. And there's another one, which of course is potentially on the horizon, Taiwan and China. People's Republic of China and the ROC, Republic of China. So these are conflicts which of course are from the 20th century during the Cold War period. And also Kashmir. Kashmir, the territory known as Kashmir, is of course a territorial dispute which dates from the 20th century. And I gotta say, I love the architecture of this. I would love to see it some color, although the gates are like blue, beautiful blue. But of course I would love a little bit more color in it. Whatever the case may be. It's kind of nice, the architecture, and I still forgot to check if they're Ionic, Doric, or Corinthian. I'm going to send an email, say, can you please tell me the pillars in front, the 4 pillars in front of the main doors, are they Ionic, Doric, or Corinthian? They're going to probably laugh, LOL. I never thought somebody was going to ask that. Well, I'm an N.A.C.W.P, so I'm a bit weird like that. I'm an N.A.C.W.P, so I got to check on that. Asperger's, and that's what it is with that. And that's what gives me a bit of that love, you know. Anyway, so that's what I like to see, somebody kissing, making out, and that's what it is with that, you know. So it's something which I gotta be happy about, you know, somebody hugging, kissing, and that's also gives me joy, you know. Somebody making love in the free world, man. That's also worth fighting, defending for, not just Wall Street. You know, not just Wall Street, not just Wall Street with that, but that's what we're gonna be doing with that, and that's how we're gonna get going, you know, to get it on the do, and that's how we're gonna be happening with that, you know. Anyways, back to geopolitics. The geopolitical relations of today, the geopolitical realities of today are involved, of course, in several layers of analysis when it relates to this new conflict on the horizon. So I'm not going to be overly academic or intellectual about it, but I'm just going to summarize that it's again a conflict which dates from the 20th century, which has not been fully disputed. So this region, Kashmir, is a conflict from the 20th century. There was even a war in 1971. 1971, there was a war between Pakistan and India, but of course now there's a possibility of a nuclear one. I'm gonna cross 6 seconds, wait. So there's a possibility on the nuclear weapons, because they have nuclear weapons, both of them, you know, have nuclear weapons, you know. So doing that, they have both nuclear weapons, it's a possibility that the conflict becomes nuclear. And ICBM rockets, and of course supposedly there was of course an alarm, of course, that there was an alarm with that, and there was an alarm with that, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with that. Yeah. Anyways, So back to what I was saying, the conflicts which are now on the horizon, there's a potential for them to become nuclear conflicts. Because India and Pakistan, they're nuclear armed now. This nuclear arms. So the nuclear armaments are predated from that time. Predated from that time. Turn down for lemonade. I don't know what it is. Back to what I was saying, of course, is that this conflict is potentially a nuclear one. As also Taiwan and China, also Ukraine, Russia. We got 3 potential nuclear conflicts. Supposedly Beyonce's run the world, girls run the world. Supposedly Beyonce's girls run the world, Beyonce's girls run the world, girls run the world. Supposedly her Run the World, Girls Run the World video has predicted what's happening now. That was an old video about 13 years ago, music video. Supposedly in it, it predicts the current situation. It predicts the current geopolitical situation. It predicts what's happening now. You gotta check it for yourself. I'm saying maybe, yeah. It looks like it. That's what's happening now in the world, I meant. Beyonce's Girls Run the World. There's a music video that shows even a nuclear explosion, which seems very similar to the nuclear one. To the non-nuclear, who looked like a nuclear one, but it was actually a non-nuclear explosion, which occurred, of course, a few weeks ago on a weekend, 2 weeks ago. Not this weekend, the other weekend with China. So not exactly 2 weeks ago per verbatim, but about 9 days ago. So supposedly that shows, that video, music video shows what's happening now. Girls Around the World is a nice one. I actually love it, and it's maybe, I would say maybe it's possible. It looks, at least 2/3 I would say, it really looks similar to what's been happening now during COVID since about February 2020 when I died of COVID. It was like, for me, COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease, like death, pestilence, and disease. Oh, please, death, pestilence, and disease, death, pestilence, and disease. When I say death, pestilence, and disease is like a rock and roll, hardcore, death, trash metal song, but that's how I felt like, not being reborn, because I died in 2020. I guess in the past years I died so many times and survived being attacked by surprise in the Montreal Metro and hit my head on the concrete, had a dislocated right arm. Went to the Jewish general. They replaced it. Not replaced it, I mean they placed it back. I mean they didn't replace my arm. They cracked it back. Because it was dislocated, right arm, and I was like bandaged up for a few days, and I was put on some meds. A few days I was like in a coma, so I had my own Cillian Pirate episode. That's what it is with the Cillian Pirate episode with that, and that's what it is. Les illusions, machin. Our illusions, eh? Our illusions. I don't know. And so here's got like a nice echo. You can sing a little bit. Rock and roll for the truckers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, doctors and firefighters and the plumbers, rock and roll, for the you to go on the go, for the left and for the right, for the left and for the side, you know that it is on the sun and the Hydro-Quebec. That's why we got electricity here, but they're not really necessary now. I know if they're automatic, but they're not necessary now to get on the go with that, and not really necessary, you know. Not really necessary, but anyways. So again, back to 2019, you know, having that I predicted an international conflagration, and of course the facts which are now equivalent to today's discussion, of course, I guess for the Beyonce's Girls Around the World, you're gonna have to go verify yourself if you're such in a position to do or inclination. You can check the music video and just make the analysis. I guess maybe you should watch it in slow motion to see the events. So because sometimes there is like flashes, so the events are depicted kind of in a flashy manner, and so you can actually tell if there is the flashiness of the manner of the flashing. If like they flash, some events are kind of shown as happening fast, and that's why we gotta congruently, and we gotta go for the appellation, and that's why we gotta get on the meditative side of it if you are to make an analysis and a judgment. If indeed Beyonce's Girls Around the World music video predicted what's happening now, I would say that it certainly looks. Now, if it's certain prophetic prophecy or prediction, or just because how the director wanted to depict the scenes, and I guess the scenes which are representative of today's geopolitical events. So whether or not they're representative or not, I would say 2/3 about it. And my inclination is definitely to say so, but again, I cannot fully make the statement thereof, you know. So it's not something that I would be. So here we're gonna just pause it and make sure I wash my hands, because I need to pee. Not bad, I guess. Oopsie, sorry for the noise. Not bad. I guess I can't complain. Oh, fuck yeah. Wow. That's what it is. A little bit of humor with that, you know? Something. That's what it is with that, man. So back to geopolitics, of course, is something which I gotta be on the appellation, but again, you're gonna have to make your own decision about the Beyonce's video with that, and that's what it's gonna be doing with the XYZ, and they didn't learn yet, man. Name's Karma's my name. Let's go drink, hydrate. There's a card on the floor. There's a card on the floor.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Anyway, so the appellation, of course. Anyway, so that's what we're gonna get doing with that. That's what we're gonna get on the hydration. So it makes me laugh because Girls Run the World is. I love to. It's paradoxically because I love to dance on it. And just recently on YouTube, somebody had commented, made a little bit of discussion online, and pinpointed that to me. And I said, you know what? Like I remember 7 years ago, I danced a lot before COVID on that music video. I think one of the most, the most dancing that I did was on Girls Run the World, Beyonce. And somebody just told me a few weeks ago that is supposedly representative and shows what's happening now in the world. What's happening now in the world. What's happening now in the world. What's happening now in the world, you know. Basically what it is. What's happening now in the world. So it's something which we gotta get doing on that go, and that's something which we gotta be meditating. But again, it's something which you're gonna have to pronounce with your own judgment, if so you feel inclined that it is indeed showing the events which are happening now. Is it? Some say yes. Well, a lot of people say yes. So it's gonna drop a little bit of that. Here I wrote down. Oh, did it go in? Went in. Some more garbage, I guess. So again, my conclusion back in 2019 is there's gonna be a World War III situation, a World War III situation, and of course that's what we're gonna get doing. So a World War III situation, but I put the nuclear war in, of course, an open question. But I did put the high possibility of being, of course, a bioweaponry for that, you know. So that is for the biological weaponry, which is probably gonna be used. So is the COVID, of course. Was COVID used? Maybe. Supposedly COVID was, of course, a bioweapon, but that's what it is for the engineering of the COVID, you know. So that's something which we gotta be doing, you know. Wow, look at those beautiful flowers. Beautiful flowers. Beautiful flowers, man. Just that corner is just so gorgeous. One of the best in terms of how many, I guess because I like yellow flowers, but something which we gotta be doing. Yellow flowers, man. That's my thing. Although I love red, blue, all sorts of flowers, but yellow specifically. So again, back to what I was saying, you know, what I was saying, of course, is that my conclusion was that there's gonna be biological weaponry. So of course, being that it is bioweapons, it of course something which I gotta be conclusive on, and that's what it is. So here we are on the North American Civilizational Complex, ready for World War III, and I've been in a World War III mode ever since 2019. So I encourage you all to work out, train, exercise, and keep the protocols. Keep the protocols. Cross by the side. That's what it is with that. So I've been kind of in the World War III type of mode, and that's what it is, you know. In a World War III type of mode, ever since 2019. Look at those beautiful flowers, wow. Wow, they're so nice. Beautiful flowers. Can't help but to stare. Wow, again, look at those. Hey, gotta see. I guess you gotta look. In order to see, you gotta look, I guess. Wow. Anyways, happy about those flowers and happy about the flowers that I see now, you know. So, anyways, back to what I was saying, you know. The North American Civilizational Collective, we gotta get that SSD, Security, Service, and Defense, and we gotta get more protocols, and my initiatives, you know, are only for SSD and only strictly for SSD. Only for SSD, you know. Thank you, merci. I appreciate the gesture of moving the dogs out of the way, because if they're not poodles, I sneeze, you know. I sneeze with that, so that's all we gotta get doing, you know. You gotta sneeze, you know. And so, garbage collectors, thank you for picking up the recycling. Thank you for, somebody make some love. Now bring them to me. If you want some love, massages, feet washing, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, garbage collectors. Gotta get that SSD, man. SSD, Service, Security, and Defense. Otherwise, there's the 21st century. We need the Dragon Army for SSD. New 5Gs, Dragon Army Complex, Microsoft. Let's go, brother Bill Gates. Back to, of course, Beyonce's video. Again, you're gonna have to interject, and you're gonna have to make to look at it several times, and maybe slow motion, and then decide, and then, of course, have in mind the geopolitical events which are happening, and ever since COVID, and of course those that are transpiring now with the Pakistan and India crisis. The Pakistan and India crisis is, of course, a new on the horizon. Gotta love that blue a little bit. A new on the horizon. A new on the horizon. That's what it is with that. So it's a new conflict on the horizon, which has ignited and started. Supposedly today, this morning, I watched sometimes VION, World is One News, WION. VION is World is One, and they're from India, but it's international, global, worldwide in scope. You know, that's how you gotta get doing with that, and that's how you gotta get on that go. So being that it's international, worldwide in scope, VION, the world is one. Actually, supposedly for the 11th day in a row, Pakistan violated the kind of like a ceasefire. So whatever the case may be, and if it did, if it didn't, and in Kashmir, I'm not on the ground either wars, eh? I'm not in Ukraine, in Russia, on the Russian side, Ukrainian side. I'm not in Israel, in Palestine, in Gaza. I'm not, you know, in Taiwan, Republic of China, you know. I'm not anywhere in those conflicts. So I look at it as an observer from the outside. So from the outside. But as somebody who's an intellectual who reads tons and tons of papers, documents, and that's what we're gonna get doing like that, and that's what we're gonna get doing on the go. So somebody who reads tens of thousands of pages, I've read tens of thousands of pages of, I know the ideologies respective of China, People's Republic of China, and analyze Vladimir Putin's speeches and the ideologies governed thereof, and institutions, and whatever they have. But I'm not on the ground. So fully to pronounce myself. Also keep in mind that my geopolitical analysis and theorizing is from a perspective, a North American perspective, as a North American, because I am a North American. Quebec or Canadian, fundamentally, I'm not on the ground with 300 men or women to go and verify whatever the case may be, to go and do the verifications necessary, but I'm not there on the ground, you know. From what we know from satellites, in a parallel life I build satellites, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing, you know. So in a parallel life I build satellites, supercomputers, and ICBM rockets, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. And it's something which we gotta be transpositioning on, you know, we gotta be transpositioning on the go, and that's how we gotta get doing on the go with that, and that's how we gotta get on the love side of things, you know, because we are here on the left and on the right and in the center. And my centrism is tied hand in hand, you know, with my Trinity of theories, you know. My Trinity of theories. So as a North American, so being that I'm a North American first, as a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, North American, for the North American Collective. And that's primary. So that has to be fully understood, because as much as I can pronounce myself in intellectual academics and dissect and be great and super and excellent and top, I have to maintain the North American centric position. Sometimes that requires a neutral point, because yes, I have been M for years. I've been calling all leaders of the free world to the mountain as I built my new table. I'm still building it now. Still rebirthing every step, every march to my second home, the mountain, Mount Royal. But I call the leaders of the free world on the mountain, Mount Royal, my second home there, the banquet. I don't know. So many things I don't know, so many things I have no idea about. I'm not on the ground. I haven't been on the ground there. I lived here, mostly on the island of Montreal. From what I know from my papers and documents in high school, you know. I lived in a high school. I lived on the high school. I had graduated high school on the South Shore. I don't remember that far. When you go back more than 7 years, I remember most. Then 8, 9, somewhat 10, 11, then it's blackout. Rah, retrograde amnesia. That's what it is with that. So retrograde amnesia. I remember mostly my work, and my prediction. That's the most important thing. My work as a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist of the past, I would say 7 years, ever since I got out of that depression, crossing Canada coast to coast. After that, I got out of depression. And that made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans, who I consider family, you know. Here on the Ramsey, my anonymous friend deserves to have a house right here somewhere, right? That one. The Ramsey and Monrose. Let's go Beyonce, Mayonnaise, Celine Dion, and I can put on work for money, you know, because I'm willing to work. I work. This is my work now, you know, meditating for the firefighters, truckers, plumbers, electricians, butchers, bakers, construction workers on steel toes, going on those cranes, electricians, the plumbers, police, Wall Street, finance, the firefighters, those in the public workers who pick up the garbage, the recycling, you know. They pick up the garbage, the recycling, finance them. Some massage therapy sessions, because I was moody last night, but I took a bath, I felt better, so that is something which I gotta be doing with that, something which I gotta be mustering, you know, because here I am, financially stressed, struggling, but where there's a light, there's a shadow, 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 you know. So is that about the rock and roll songs, as I do them every day, create new songs every day. So today's May the 5th. going to those trances on the mountain, and gotta be grateful my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee, and I got still some sweets because I didn't devour all the sweets during the weekend. Sabbath begins at Friday midnight, and here I am, you know, on the interposition, and that's how we gotta get doing with the love, you know. So something which I gotta be mindful, you know, because we got on that love, and we got on the bakers, we got on the butchers, we got on the nurses, we got on the doctors, we got on the firefighters, and we got Dragon versus Trump. Have been able to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match ever since 2018 when Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, 10%, and now made the mistake imposing other tariffs on other goods. That's a mistake. That's not the way to invite us. And it's not 51, it's 13. It's 10 plus 3, 10 provinces, 3 territories. 10 provinces, 3 territories. My way to fuse Canada best, to do a census, create a passport and the UE, and via my DRT theory, which I'm not going to discuss because I'm on the subject. Again, Pakistan, India, possible. Debt refusion theory, 100%. And go youth exercise. So the DRT. Run. They're happy, I'm happy. Good for you, exercise, I guess. It's time to run, get that sweat. I love to see that, and it's for them, the Dragon Army, you know, for their future and their love and growth in the North American Collective, in the Empire. The Kingdom, and I guess it's after May the 4th. A little bit of 50-50, you know. 50-50, and that's how we gotta get doing, 50-50, you know. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, for the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit. That's how we're gonna get doing. For the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit. That's how we're gonna get doing. And the Universal Exchange Unit has to be done. So basically, the Universal Exchange Unit is to be created by the implementation of my DRT, the debt refusion theory. And again, I made the statement that it is the only solution, or something very similar to my DRT theory, to my debt refusion theory. So why do I make that statement? Due to the fact, of course, that we paid on the public debt, we paid 46.5 billion in interest last year. Quantify that for a moment. So think about that number a bit. So last year we paid on the public debt 46.5 billion. A billion has not 7, not 8 zeros. It has 9 zeros. So that was the amount paid just in interest on the public debt, right? In 2020-2021, the fiscal year, the amount of interest which we paid on the public debt was 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion double is 40.6. $40.6. So what you notice when you contrast the numbers, 40.6 with 46.5, you notice that it's more than double, right? The number is more than double of interest payments. Only interest. We're discussing only interest payments on the public debt. Now, yes, crazy scenario unfolded and is the reality because of COVID, the coronavirus, which made the government of Trudeau at the time that they have to impose different measures and programs and emergency financing for the population during those starting in about March 2020, right? But the number is just so big now that we paid last year that we are on the verge of a public financial collapse. We are on the verge of a public financial collapse. It could start today. You realize that, right? Just because of the numbers. So you really have to look at the numbers and notice and know that, of course, our GDP, our economy, our Canadian economy did not double. So that's where the problem lies, right? Our GDP, here's my second home, the mountain. This is one entrance. You got another entrance, you got another entrance. So now we're gonna go on the other side. We're gonna enter by another side by that. Because usually we enter either by this side, by that side, or by the other side there. Or we can go around the bow. Now we're gonna go an opposite, kind of like a different snake. Like a different snake. So as I got 17 seconds, as I'm gonna go parallel to that side. So basically the number is a huge number, 46.5 billion. So a billion is 9 zeros, right? So that is where the problem lies fundamentally in terms of the mathematics. Just the mathematical calculation, the financial mathematical calculation is just staggering. And that's just the interest on it, just the interest on the public debt of Canada. So basically, the amount is huge. Can I go by this side? The amount is huge. The amount is huge. 46.5 billion. 46.5 billion. That is a huge amount. That is just from 20.3 to 46.5. That is a staggering amount. It more than doubled. More than doubled. More than doubled. 20.3 double is 40.6. The number is 46.5 of last year. While our GDP did not double. That's where the problem lies. Since our GDP didn't double, that's where the whole problem lies. Our gross domestic our gross GDP didn't double. That's where the fundamental problem lies. That's what is not sustainable. That's what is not sustainable. That's what is not sustainable. So basically, because due to the fact that our financial system has so much pressure because of the interest, it's possible that the interest payments double. That the interest, due to the fact that the interest payments have more than doubled in such a short amount of time, that of course there's no other way. Anyway, so that is just the fact, the mathematical financial principle, you know. That's the mathematical financial principle, you know, that we have to interpose. So basically, the number was 46.5 last year. 46.5. 46. 46.5. 46.5, you know. That is just the amount. 46.5. 46.5. That's crazy. Something else. The youth were singing some song, and I heard a bit of a song, and say some of my songs are a bit on the equivalent side, and that's how we gotta get doing. But nonetheless, 46.5. Gotta salute the nurses, doctors, firefighters, butchers, bakers, grocery store clerks, all involved in the production. I gotta put one there. Production, distribution of food. The production and the distribution of food, and the nurses here, you know, gotta give some rock and roll. Rock and roll for the nurses! Gotta get some that service! Rock and roll hand out for the nurses! Die putting in some work! Please, Wall Street, millionaires, finance the nurses and the firefighters and those who pick up the garbages. Finance them a massage therapy session. I'm good. I took a bath yesterday. I can take another one this week, 2, 3 a week, depending on the intensity of my workouts. But millionaires, don't be so selfish. I'm not totally selfless. I don't make pretense to be totally selfless, but I try to be in the middle, balance myself as an individual for the other, although financially stressed now. Financially stressed. My rent's paid, electricity bills paid, coffee, and paradoxically, on the table, I got the DRT, debt refusion theory, which is fundamentally the only solution which can, of course, save us from where we are financially. Economically, there's no other way but my DRT, debt refusion theory. There's no other way. Or something very similar to my theory has to be implemented. That's just where we are now. Something very similar to my theory has to be implemented. That's just how it is. So the debt refusion theory you're gonna explain, and I'm gonna go through there with that side. Sometimes we go on the other side and then on the other side, but now we're gonna go on that side. As you can see, part of the downtown core area here, as I'm gonna go there by that side and then go around the bout and finish discussing the DRT. Turn my head left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right, because sometimes they come fast here, and that's how we're gonna go, and that's how we're gonna do. So, due to the fact that we paid so much in interest, $46.5 billion last year, just on the interest. It more than doubled due to COVID, the coronavirus, and due to the programs that we had to implement. But nonetheless, the fact that it more than doubled, please don't leave cans here, just recycle them, because we got flora, fauna, and this could be eaten by a rabbit, by a chipmunk, so just recycle them, please. Put them in the recycling. So of course, due to the fact that we paid last year 46.5 billion in interest, and compared to 2020, 2021, the number was 20.3. So there's no other solution. There's no other solution but my DRT theory, or something which resembles my debt refusion theory. It has to be implemented. So I'm gonna explain it now. So again, you can argue all you will, but my theory, or something very similar to my theory, is the solution. And in my DRT, debt refusion theory, is included monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is my theory, of course, which is the theory which was implemented in the European Union. The Europeans, the Germans, the Italian, the French, other countries destroyed their national central bank, and they created a new central bank, the ECB, the European Central Bank. So in my DRT, debt refusion theory, is included monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory. So that's what it is. So due to the fact that the interest levels was 46.5 billion. A billion again has 9 zeros. So that is just the amount. The amount is just huge. That's just the problem. We're gonna let my mane off here, so I can let loose with the hair, you know. I'm in the wild wilderness, forest on the mountain, so I can just continue and with the discussion of the DRT. So it's a paradox, because the DRT comes out of my curse of Asperger's, being that my brain is different and I'm part of this small minority of neurodivergence, and that geopolitics is my special interest, also known as obsessive interest, that of course I am able to put and present on the table the DRT, the debt refusion theory, the DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public. We have to take all the public and the private debt. I'm gonna now explain it, including my $10,000, all the public and the private debt. We're gonna create it. We're gonna take it Canadian coast to coast, including my $10,000 to the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. We're gonna take all the public-private debt coast to coast, ocean to ocean. All the debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars, into United States, into United States, into the United States dollars, into US dollars, into United States dollars, basically into United States dollars. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna create it, convert it into United States dollars. All the public and the private debt. So my 10,000, your 10,000, whatever the case may be. I have 10,000 to the RBC. So in my case, it's gonna be $10,000. So all the debt, public and private debt, public and private debt. There's the hawk. H-A-W-K, that's a nomen. Hawk-headed. Hawk-headed. Twin, or the hawk and the, I don't know if it's an oddwork, another hawk. Oddwork or canine-like creature. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. So my 10,000, your 10,000, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the public and the private debt, my 10,000, your 10,000, converted into US dollars, converted into US. We're gonna add it with the United States dollar, public and private debt, because the United States is in a similar economic, financial, public-private partnership, public and private position. The United States is in a similar position financially. Yeah, financially. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. Where's the hawks? Where's those hawks? A little bit. They left a bit. All the public and the private debt. Okay, the United States is in a similar financial situation as the Canadian public and private financial situation. We're in a very similar public-private financial situation. In a very similar public and private financial situation. So basically we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the public and the private debt. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. We're gonna set an interest rate level of 10%. So all the public-private debt of Canada converted into US dollars, added with the public-private debt of United States, that money is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. And when you come here, be careful, because if it's windy, sometimes the branches fall, so you gotta be prudent, because you see most people stay on the main roads, on the main trails, and not so many venture out here, but I venture here even in winter storms, because it's my second home, the mountain, but it's not just my second home, it's public. So, and I got a little bit of reverence and a little bit of a mutual reverence and understanding with the throne here of my Pope, the King, the Sun, and the goddess Moon with it. So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that money, we're gonna add it with the United States, with the United States dollars. We're gonna add it with the US, with the United States. We're gonna add it up together with the US. All that money is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. So all the public-private debt of Canada, United States joint is gonna be the new central bank. The new central bank. All the money in circulation. In circulation. All the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt is gonna be all the money in circulation. All the public and the private debt of Canada, United States conjoined. That money, we're gonna put it into a new bank. We're gonna create a new bank. We're gonna create a new currency called the U. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit. The U. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. The U dot universal. E dot exchange U dot unit, the universal exchange unit, the UE, the UE, the UE, the universal exchange unit, of course, is gonna be on the public and the private partnership. The UE, the UE, the UE, universal exchange unit, U dot universal, E dot exchange U dot unit, the UE. We're gonna create a new currency called the UE, the universal exchange unit. We're gonna set an interest rate level of 10%. It's gonna be 10% maximum. It could be less, not more, less, not more, less, not more. It could be 3.33, 1.56, 6.1, 9.3, 7.18, 4.18, 6.1, 9.3, etc., etc., etc. Below 10. So that is going to be the number of interest, maximum number allowed after that. So it's not going to be able to be more than 10%. 10% is going to be the maximums, the maximum number. 10%. Maximum. And with this new currency, the UE, with the DRT, by and via the implementation of my DRT theory, which includes monetary integration theory, we're going to be able to rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective. The North American Collective. We're going to be doing the North American Collective, the bridges, the roads, the aqueducts, the sewers. We're going to be rebuilding buildings. We're going to be rebuilding the aqueducts, the sewers, and whatever case may be, the sewers, the aqueducts. We're going to build more hydroelectric dams. We're going to finance citizens to workout, train, exercise. Workout, train, exercise. We're going to mass finance the building construction of 44 tunnels. Constructing building 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. And get the North American Criminal Rehabilitation population of the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. And we're going to, of course, implement. Is that a real one? I don't think so. Yeah. So the DRT, debt refusion tree, we're going to create the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, and we're going to do a lot of good. We're going to build those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. Mass finance citizens tourism across the 63, 50 states, 10 provinces and 3 territories, you know. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that. So we're gonna have to be doing the implementation thereof of the North American Civilizational Collective, and that's what we're gonna have to be doing, you know. Implementing that, and gonna have to be doing that, and we're gonna have to be doing it. The DRT is the only solution. And we're gonna rebuild the bridges of North America. We're gonna fuse Canada and United States in the 63. We're gonna get coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Defense Security Service SSD. Dragon Army is gonna work by SSD only, Security Service and Defense. And of course we're gonna do a common passport. We're gonna do a census. We're gonna see all the population, see who's eligible to serve in the Dragon Army and to be able to be living here for more than 7 years in North America. And they have not gone outside more than 6 months. And of course to get for SSD and to get financing the Dragon Army, North American Imperial SSD legions, 63 legions for SSD, Security Service and Defense only, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and SSD, Security Service and Defense, and I guess emergency response, if you will, and integrated with all existing institutions, organizations of security, and of course the Dragon Army with the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, for the North American Integrated Dance League, for Dance for the Environment, Dance for the Environment, you know, Dance for the Environment, do cleaning of the oceans, the mountains, the valleys of North America, the lakes, and here at La Falaise, we gotta get going with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that LOV, and we gotta get on that Transmon, and you know, gotta get it on the go with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing for the love and for the XYZ, and we gotta get it for now. And my fellow cousin, they're doing a little bit of that jog, so the debt refusion theory is something which we gotta be implemented and something which we gotta do right here. A little bit of rock and roll, and here it is, a little bit on the steps. Gonna check so much plantation there, see, that needs to be, we have to do a big cleaning here. Check those yellow flowers a little bit, and gotta go in for that, and that's where we're gonna go. See those yellow flowers, they're so cute, they're all over the place here, and so we gotta get doing, and gotta get on that transparent side, and see they're there in the corner, hey, they're clustered there, you can see them a little bit, see, from there on the side, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know, something which we gotta be transposing on that, and that's where they're gonna go for the XYZ, and be mindful for the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And sometimes we just gotta turn left and turn right, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know, on that XYZ, you know, so something which we gotta be implementing because it's an emergency, you know, there's no other way. That's where they gotta go, because it's just the emergency situation, there's just no way around it, you know, there's just no way around it. That's what it is, man. That's what we gotta do, you know. The DRT. Things change. Heavy bombardment. Also invaded. Slow warfare, you know. Here we are. There we go. Nice people coming here. Gonna go for that trans. Get some boats ready. Gotta go get it on the go, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know, for the hydration. For the translation, you know, translations. Sometimes it's only in French here, but it requires a little bit of knowledge. So here we are, we made it at the point, and I guess we're gonna go hydrate and switch it to a little bit of that French, and then go in the forest and switch it to that French, a little bit of some for the hydration, and till we make it up to the top, then go around about it. Oh yeah, we made it to the top, you know. Made it to the top. Made it to the top again. And there we go. Gotta drink some of that hydration. Imagine all the work to build this. I'm grateful for the workers of the past who build it and who build the collective here. And that's why we gotta get hydration, HYDRAT. Imagine all that work and labor. There was a lot of work and labor to get all the hydration here, all the electricity and the hydration, you know, to have it available. Just think about that for a sec. Imagine all the work and labor, you know, to build it, and gotta get that labor and to build the public workers, and that's what we gotta get on the go, you know, and gotta get it for the love and wait it to pass on the side here, you know. So that's it. And we gotta get it for the love, and get it for the love birds. We gotta go in the sun, and that's how we gotta go. Here we go. Favorite city on the go. Mount Royal, atop Mount Royal, my second home, the headquarters of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, and where the boats, I guess, ready for the river. Ready for the river. I'm always joyous. I come here, it's always a nice place, and I always love to see people here when they gather now. Usually I come here, there's nobody sometimes during the storm, you know, winter storm. I come, I'm alone. You've seen past videos during like January, February. I come and it's just me and the flora, fauna, and the birds, and just, that's not in operation yet, but it will soon be. So that's what it is with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what it's gonna be here, you know. Something which we gotta be doing, you know, and something which we gotta be doing, you know. It's something which we gotta be on the love, you know. We gotta get that. United States also, United States flag, and the Dragonami flag, and the DJ flag, the 7-pointed star, and a dragon on it. Nobody's born a dragon, we come on, and here we are. That is my favorite skyscraper, that it is right there. That one, see? The pyramid. Firefighters, butchers, plumbers, nurses, electricians, doctors, all those grocery store clerks, all those involved in the distribution of food, the firefighters, plumbers of North America. You can see the bridges, and those gets YZ, XYZ, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, you know, although of course on the bridges, and that's why we're gonna get for those firefighters, plumbers, electricians, the bakers. Imagine all the work that's being done now across the collective, firefighters, the truckers, the nurses, the doctors, all across this North American complex. Gonna give some love and, you know, some salutation, and they're joyous, they're tourists coming to check the greatest city, you know, my home in this life and in another, and there's the pyramid, you know. That's the pyramid. I wonder when it was built. I know when it was built, but I don't know who. We got great architecture, great architecture, and that's what it is with that. And this is my brothers and sisters here, all who come to join us here in the North American Collective, and we're gonna get it on the doers and butchers, and switch to that French because we're in La Belle Province. Rock and roll farmers, butchers, bakers, electricians, and the plumbers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks. My cousin doing a little bit of jog. Here we are at the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, and that's how we're gonna get doing with the love, you know. I gotta come for some push-ups, I guess, later, you know. Yeah. That's how we gotta get doing with that, you know. Football, man. That's what it is, man. On the mountain, man. Oh, get ready for that French in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to La Belle Province. We're gonna switch it up. French firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, plumbers, electricians. My cousin's jogging. Keep on jogging. Let's go. Rock and roll. Pour le français, on est rendu sur la montagne québécois, québécoise. La montagne, les pompiers, les boulangers, les administrateurs, les infirmières, tous ceux qui travaillent dans la boulangerie. Il faut mettre le drapeau des États-Unis puis du dragon arc-en-ciel pour en faire avec la pyramide dans ce sens, pour en faire de l'envers, et bien sûr pour le dire de l'histoire de la belle province du Québec que vous pouvez voir dedans. Et votre dragon arc-en-ciel, l'artiste Aspi, qui a l'Asperger's, qui bien sûr, sa trinité d'intérêts spéciaux, bien sûr, c'est la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique. J'adore venir ici, ma deuxième maison. Et bien sûr, faire des méditations de la géopolitique. Je suis moi-même un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique indépendant, qui vient souvent à la montagne. Puis je vous encourage à faire de l'entraînement physique et je médite, bien sûr, comment que le travail qui a été fait pour amener de l'eau potable ici. Tu sais, tout le travail, les aqueducs d'en haut, ça c'est par la rivière, puis tout le système du travail public qui a été fait, j'admire ça, puis merci, hein. C'est grâce, tu sais, parce que la civilisation c'est un privilège, c'est grâce au travail du passé, bien des choses, là, comme des aqueducs, connaître de l'eau potable, les travailleurs de l'Hydro-Québec, là. Salutations, merci, hein, je vous chante encore pour bâtir, construire d'autres centrales, puis d'autres gratte-ciels, puis le temple de la déesse oubliée que je veux bâtir, et bien sûr, le Colisée du peuple impérial de l'Amérique du Nord, et bien sûr, un Colisée sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis, où le premier événement sera moi et Donald Trump combattre dans un combat de boxe. Et c'est des choses, bien sûr, que je dois faire par ma descente. Si je vais faire comme un serpent, je vais aller faire l'entour par là-bas, dedans dans la forêt, bien sûr. J'y vais souvent, fait que je vais m'en aller par une manière de m'en aller où que je vais souvent. Puis si vous allez où que j'y vais, bien sûr, faites attention parce qu'il y a des branches qui tombent, tu sais, des fois des branches qui tombent. Fait qu'il faut que vous soyez prudent, tu sais. Il faut que vous soyez prudent dans cette atmosphère ici. C'est vite la prudence. C'est des fois les branches tombent. Fait qu'il faut être prudent sur la route. Puis j'aimerais tellement ça bâtir. Ici, peinturer, puis peinturer les bancs du Mont-Royal, tu sais. Ça serait une chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses de le faire moi-même. Ah, ouais. Incapable. Et bien sûr, dans la zone de plantation, ici, puis bon, pour expliquer encore une fois bien simplement c'est quoi l'Asperger's, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel avec lequel je vis, c'est je fais partie de cette minorité qui ont l'Asperger's. Donc, c'est moins d'1% de la population, même pas 0,5%, c'est même pas 0,44%, même pas 0,44%, 0,44%, même pas 0,44%. Et bien sûr, pour dire bien sûr que dans cette situation où on est rendu aujourd'hui, c'est possible qu'il y ait bien sûr une conflagration internationale. C'est possible qu'il y ait une conflagration internationale. C'est possible qu'il y ait une conflagration internationale. Et donc, dans cette manière, pour le dire, bien sûr, pour le dire, qu'il y ait une conflagration internationale, c'est possible qu'il y ait une approche, qu'il y ait bien sûr dans une convergence de bien sûr de cette position. Donc moi je vis avec une condition que c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste que notre cerveau il est différent. Fait que notre cerveau il y a une mutation. Fait que cette mutation, ça fait que nous on voit le monde différemment. Puis la plupart de notre temps, nos jours, comme ça fait bien des années, se passe en faisant c'est comme une routine avec des rituels. C'est comme une routine avec des rituels, tu sais. C'est comme une routine avec des rituels. Puis cette routine-là, ça peut être quand même... Moi, je peux être quand même flexible, non? Surtout que je vis une crise financière. Puis j'aimerais ça, le changement du point de vue économique, financier, puis commercial, tu sais. Puis commercial. Fait que de cette manière-là, bien sûr, c'est des choses qu'il va falloir qu'on fasse. Et bien sûr, dans cette convergence d'où on est rendu maintenant, que moi, faisant partie de cette minorité, hein, parce qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Aspi, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Asperger's pour moi-même, il y a 0,44%, c'est pas beaucoup, hein? Moins d'1%, moins de la moitié. Puis moi, mes intérêts spéciaux, je suis connu comme intérêt obsessif, c'est la Sainte Trinité, la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique, soit la danse, et le rock&roll. Ces trois intérêts-là, c'est constamment, c'est quotidien, c'est avec intensité, super concentration et je suis super dedans quand je fais ces choses-là. Mais les aspis, nous, dans d'autres choses, on peut avoir de la misère. On peut avoir certaines difficultés. Puis cette difficulté-là, ou cette neurodivergence, ben, ça vient justement de que des fois, on a de la misère dans les communications verbales, non verbales de la société. Des fois, on peut s'approcher proche, briser, tu sais, l'espace personnel là, de 2-3 pieds. Là. On peut s'approcher de 2-3 pouces, 4 pouces, 5 pouces, 6 pouces de la personne proche du visage, là, tu sais. Comme proche du visage, fait que ça peut intimider les gens, ça peut dire, ben, oh, je me sens en danger, ou, tu sais, ou on peut avoir des caractéristiques, parce que c'est pas des symptômes. Les symptômes, c'est pour une maladie mentale. Les symptômes, c'est pour une maladie, mais l'Asperger's, c'est pas une maladie, c'est juste que notre cerveau, il y a une mutation. Fait que ça fait que on a ces caractéristiques qui peuvent sembler étranges, qui peuvent sembler bizarres, qui peuvent sembler différents. Fait que je suis différent. Ben, j'aime pas la violence. Moi-même, j'aime pas la violence. Je l'ai vécu. La violence, le trompe. J'ai plein de cicatrices, plein de trompes. Je me suis fait attaquer par surprise. Voilà un couple d'années. Hein. Je me suis fait attaquer par surprise. Je suis tombé dans le métro. Je me suis cogné la tête. Je suis tombé dans le métro. Je me suis cogné la tête. J'avais le bras droit disloqué. Je me suis dit lequel bras droit. Je suis tombé, je me suis cogné la tête. Puis bien sûr, je me suis cogné la tête. Je suis tombé. Je suis tombé. Je suis tombé. Je me suis cogné la tête. Fait que je suis allé à l'hôpital juif, ils m'ont replacé. Ben, il y a eu comme, tu sais, ils m'ont recraqué le bras droit, ils m'ont remis en place. J'ai été mis sur des médicaments, j'ai été comme dans un. Comme ils m'ont mis des. Tu sais, un équipement spécial pour la main droite. Puis j'ai eu comme. J'étais dans un coma pendant un couple de jours. C'était à cause des médicaments, puis j'étais tout ensanglé, là, j'étais tout ensanglé. Fait que je me suis fait attaquer par surprise. Bon. Perdu, puis avant ça, ma vie, j'ai la perte de mémoire, la paralysie rétrograde. J'ai la perte de mémoire. J'ai la misère à me souvenir de ma vie avant avoir déménagé. J'habitais à Côte-des-Neiges, à Montréal, sur l'île de Montréal. J'habitais dans un sous-sol, il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. J'ai déménagé, j'étais en dépression suicidaire. Et j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. J'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. J'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. Cet événement, ça m'a fait sortir de ma dépression. Quand j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte en 2017, en août, je suis allé à Vancouver, Colombie-Britannique. En septembre, je suis allé à Halifax, en Nouvelle-Écosse. Fait que cet événement, ça m'a fait établir un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, le Canada, les États-Unis, parce que je suis pour se fusionner dans un complexe de mon rêve qui se manifeste pour un appel à un partenariat public-privé par ma trinité de théorie qu'il faut faire l'implémentation aussitôt, parce qu'on est en situation d'urgence des finances. Bien sûr, parce qu'on est en situation d'urgence des finances. Fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que ça soit dans ce même état ici. Et bien sûr, pour dire encore que l'Asperger's, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, c'est juste que notre cerveau est différent. Fait que nous, on voit les choses différemment. Et dans certaines choses, j'ai besoin moi-même du soutien parce que j'ai de la misère dans certaines choses. Je suis comme ça. Je suis pas bon. Je suis comme ça. Je suis pas bon. J'ai de la misère dans certaines choses. Mais pas quand ça vient à la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique puis la danse. Puis depuis 2017, ça fait plus que 7 ans, j'ai perdu entre 80 et 93 livres. Entre 80 et 93 livres. 80, 93, là. J'ai perdu bien du poids depuis, là. Puis ça m'a juste... Parce que... Ça m'a fait, bien sûr, que... Je pensais, bien sûr, que c'était une... Ma dépression, être en dépression, être suicidaire, ça m'a fait complètement changer ma vie. Avoir traversé le Canada, je pensais peut-être que j'allais finir ma vie. Puis malheureusement, ma communauté, qui est une petite communauté de 0,44%, pas beaucoup d'Asperger's, ben nous, on peut être différents. Puis il y a beaucoup... Le taux de chômage est élevé pour ma communauté, très élevé. Très élevé, parce qu'encore une fois, il y a bien des gens qui pensent que c'est une maladie mentale. Mais c'est pas une maladie mentale, l'Asperger's. Mais il y a des gens qui pensent que c'est une maladie mentale que tu peux attraper ou quelque chose comme ça, ou que les aspis sont violents ou des choses comme ça. Mais c'est pas ça. C'est que nous, il faut nous le dire des fois directement, puis des fois, nous, on dit des choses directement et directes ou qui peuvent offenser les gens. Puis c'est pas parce qu'on veut, c'est juste que des fois, tu sais, on est direct, puis on est de cette manière un peu brusque, un peu paraître un peu brusque, là, mais moi, tu sais, j'essaie depuis un couple d'années d'être poli, puis je suis joyeux, mais que je suis en crise, en stress financièrement en ce moment, mais c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même, et bien sûr, pour faire, bien sûr, de la méditation, du point de vue qu'on est ensemble ici, pour le faire, tu sais, c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, que moi-même, il faut que je fasse, bien sûr, pour le dire, bien sûr, que c'est des choses, bien sûr, pour être utile, tu sais. Mais je fais partie aussi de la communauté LGBTQ, je suis pansexuel, androgyne, monsieur, madame, et bien sûr, de cette communauté pour le faire moi-même. Oh, il faut que je me garde la droite ici, comme à la conduite. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je le fasse moi-même dans cette condition de neurodivergence, que ça soit différent pour le faire dans ce cas où que je suis rendu en ce moment, bien sûr. C'est des choses qui soient rendues à l'affirmation, puis bien sûr que moi aussi, pour être dans la situation de cette crise financière, là, parce que mon stress financier en ce moment, je vis un stress financier, tu sais. Fait que dans ce stress financier en ce moment, c'est quelque chose que je dois vivre avec. Fait que je vis avec, you know. Fait que j'ai perdu beaucoup d'emplois, malheureusement. Vous voyez les branches ici, c'est pour ça que j'avise les gens. Parce que ces branches-là, ils tombent d'en haut. Ils tombent d'en haut, fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans l'encombrage auquel je vis en ce moment. Fait que dans cette situation de neurodivergence que laquelle je vis, le taux de chômage pour notre communauté est élevé. J'ai eu bien de l'emploi, j'ai aimé, mais ça ne dure pas longtemps. Ça dure un couple de semaines, un couple de mois. Là, puis c'est justement à cause de cette condition de neurodivergence qu'il faut le faire dans cet ensemble de la situation qu'on vit aujourd'hui. Mais j'ai la gratitude, mon loyer est payé, ma facture d'électricité est payée. Puis bien sûr, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que j'envisage aussi dans le domaine lequel j'ai travaillé depuis bien des années. C'est la géopolitique. Je suis un analyste théoricien en géopolitique. Encore une fois, je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail indépendant. J'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en octobre-novembre 2019. J'ai prévu qu'il y aura une conflagration internationale. J'ai la preuve, hein, j'ai la vidéo en ligne. J'avais prévu que dans les 7 prochaines années, en commençant en octobre-novembre 2019, c'est des conflits qui n'ont pas été résolus du 20e siècle vont reprendre. En Israël, Palestine, au Moyen-Orient, c'est ça, c'est des conflits du 20e siècle. Hamas, l'organisation Hamas a été fondée des années 80. Russie puis l'Ukraine, c'est des conflits du 20e siècle. La Chine puis le Taïwan, puis maintenant un nouveau conflit en géopolitique que j'analyse depuis les derniers jours. Le Pakistan puis l'Inde. Puis eux autres, les deux, là, ils ont des armes nucléaires maintenant. En 1971, ils ont eu une guerre. Pakistan puis l'Inde. Puis après ça, il y a eu bien des conflits dans le Cachemire. C'est un territoire disputé. Comme ici, je dis dans le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, en fait, que j'appelle le grand compromis linguistique du français pour avoir la continuité de la paix et de l'harmonie. C'est sûr que des fois, on met sa table et on se donne des coudes. Mais moi-même, il faut que je le fasse. Un effort. Si je ne le fais pas, l'effort moi-même, ben, je ne fais pas l'effort. Je fais pas l'effort moi-même, d'abord. En tant qu'individu, ça en prend mon effort individuel pour le faire pour le français, que j'en chante des chansons rock&roll. J'ai pas d'argent pour une guitare. Go, les travailleurs publics, les pompiers, les travailleurs de l'Île Québec, que change des aqueducs, puis ça pleine. C'est pleine d'17 provinces. Pas besoin de bécherel pour que je conjugue. Pour que je conjugue. L'amour fait des pompes. L'agression envoie des pompes. Pas besoin de violence. S'il y a l'amour, puis du vin, puis des câlins. Faites du sport, tabarnouche. Après le sport. Puis, tu sais, je suis le rock&roll. C'est rock&roll, géopolitique, entraînement physique depuis bien des années. Là. Je suis artiste aussi, philosophe, mais analyste théoricien en géopolitique, mais je vis avec cette condition de neurodivergence, fait que ça m'a fait perdre beaucoup d'emplois. Maintenant, je fais juste des amis avec bénéfice. Juste des amis avec bénéfice. Juste des amis avec bénéfice seulement. Des massages, j'aimerais ça me permettre un massage thérapeutique. Hier soir, j'étais un peu en crise, là, j'étais un peu frustré. Je me disais, je ne veux pas avoir pitié de moi-même, là. Je vais prendre un bain. Puis comme ça, s'il vous plaît, millionnaires, milliardaires, financez donc les pompiers pour un massage thérapeutique. Financez les pompiers à la place. Financez les pompiers à la place. Financez les pompiers. Financer les travailleurs publics qui ont ramassé le recyclage ce matin. L'après-midi, ça va être la poubelle. Fait que je vais aller devoir faire mon lavage aussi, tu sais. Chez nous, que je rentre, je vais faire un 6 heures aujourd'hui, puis je vais aller faire mon lavage. Faire mon lavage. Je veux dire le lavage du linge, là. Du linge. Fait que bien sûr, c'est ces choses-là que je dois le faire moi-même, puis sortir la poubelle après 4h30. Fait que j'ai du travail quand je retourne chez nous, puis je retourne en géopolitique. Parce que ce matin, je voulais partir à 8h. J'ai checké les nouvelles, j'ai fait des révisions. Je dis 8h30, après 8h30, 9h, 9h44, je suis parti. Fait que j'ai dit, wow. Ben, c'est ça parce que pour nous aussi, les aspects, le temps, gestion du temps, puis tout ça, c'est quand même chose difficile d'être en temps. C'est des choses, parce que nos intérêts spéciaux, aussi connus comme intérêts obsessifs, ça nous préoccupe. Ça prend notre temps. Des fois, je me perds. Je fais des heures d'analyse en géopolitique. Je me réveille, je dis, oh mon Dieu, déesse, Dieu, déesse, déesse, Dieu. Les deux ensemble qui dansent. Je dis, je viens de passer 6 heures à faire, puis faire de la méditation, puis regarder, puis faire des analyses en géopolitique, des nouvelles de chez nous, du Radio-Canada, du Canada, du CBC, du CTV, du CNN, du Fox, Québec, Canada, États-Unis, premièrement, du collectif nord-américain, Mexique des fois, puis à travers l'autre monde. Puis là, c'est l'Inde puis le Pakistan, la géopolitique. En ce moment, le thème de la géopolitique majeure du monde mondial. Puis nous, ben, ça continue avec le Trump, puis notre chef Carney, qui va aller voir Trump demain. Ben, je dis, ben, le roi est absent. Ben, j'ai pas aimé ça, prêter allégeance au roi Charles puis ses héritiers, puis il va venir. Il va venir quoi? Il va venir une semaine. C'est les pompiers, les fermiers, les boulangers, les travailleurs de l'agriculture, les travailleurs en construction, sécurité service. Je sais pas, là, c'est le temps pour la République. Le roi est absent, puis c'est le temps pour qu'on fasse la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est urgent quand même, du point de vue de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, je dois dire, mais parce qu'on est en situation d'urgence. Fait qu'il faut faire cette implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on aille dans le paquet pour l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est une théorie, bien sûr, qu'il faut faire. C'est une théorie qu'il faut faire. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, on n'a pas le choix. Parce que l'année passée, on a payé 46,5 milliards. 1 milliard 100 000 millions. Imaginez-vous dans ce contexte comment on a payé d'intérêt l'année passée. Et ça a plus que doublé en 3 ans seulement. C'est allé de 20,3 double, ça aurait été 40,6. 40,6 fois 2, 40,6 fois 2, là. 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. Ça a plus que doublé, là. Imaginez-vous, c'est un point, là, d'intérêt qu'on a payé, juste d'intérêt sur la dette publique canadienne. C'est allé de 20,3 à 46,5 milliards. Fait que dans ce point de contention, regardez ces chiffres-là vous-même. C'est des chiffres qu'il faut faire la vérification. On est à veille d'avoir peut-être aujourd'hui, ça commence, sinon demain, quand Carney s'en va aux États-Unis, pouc, il y a un effondrement des finances publiques. Justement, car on vient de finaliser avec les taxes. Moi-même, 11 000, j'ai survécu 2024 sur 11 000 $ canadiens. Là. Ben, c'est sûr, mon loyer, ben, je l'ai payé pour le mois de mai. C'était mois-ci, on est le 5 mai déjà, on est le 5 mai aujourd'hui, 2025. J'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café, j'ai du thé, puis j'attends des réponses vis-à-vis mon emploi. Je sais pas ce Canada, vis-à-vis d'autres emplois, d'autres opportunités. Je suis toujours ouvert pour les affaires, surtout pour le rock-and-roll, la danse et la géopolitique. J'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019. En 2019, j'ai prévu maintenant qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019. Fait que c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je le fasse moi aussi, dans cette prédiction que j'avais prévue. Mes protocoles, initiatives sont pour ce que j'appelle le collectif de la civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, le collectif nord-américain. Donc, les Québécois et Québécoises ont fait partie, puis moi-même, en tant qu'individu, il faut que je le fasse un effort. Si je ne fais pas d'effort moi-même, ça veut dire, bien sûr, que je ne fais pas d'effort. Il faut que je fasse un effort moi-même pour avoir un effort moi-même. Un effort moi-même pour le faire moi-même. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses de moi-même qu'il faut que je le fasse à l'intellectuel. Puis d'un point de vue de la convergence qu'on est rendu pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, on est un collectif de civilisation émergent qui n'est pas tout à fait divorcé, mais on a des distinctions avec l'Occident. Et bien sûr, je peux me prononcer d'une manière intellectuelle, académique sur bien des conflits, bien des régions, des pays, mais ça reste que je suis Québécois, Canadien, Nord-Américain. Nord-Américain, Canadien, Québécois, puis j'ai pas de 300 hommes ou femmes pour aller explorer ce qui se passe exactement en Israël puis en Palestine, à Gaza. Je suis pas sur le territoire en Ukraine, en Russie, puis ni au Cachemire, entre le Pakistan puis l'Inde. Fait que je le vois, je l'analyse d'une manière intellectuelle en tant qu'analyste et théoricien en géopolitique qui a la théorie de la sécurité pour le service pour la défense, puis qui fait appel à mon rêve pour avoir le soutien, qui est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé, le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse. C'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé, prêter allégeance Légion. Vous êtes famille, la TRD, je vous l'explique, parce que c'est urgent, il faut faire la TRD. On n'a pas le choix qu'on est rendu. La théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut faire l'implémentation de la théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, on n'a pas le choix. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, je vous l'explique. Donc, on va prendre toute la... Pourquoi je dis encore ça? C'est quand, l'année passée, on a payé 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique. En 2020-2021, le montant, c'était de 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. Fait que le montant, c'était 46,5. Imaginez-vous, là, c'est un chiffre énorme. Quand 1 milliard, c'est 9 zéros, c'est pas 8 ou 7 zéros, 1 milliard. Juste l'intérêt, ça a doublé. C'est sûr qu'à cause de la coronavirus, du COVID, on a dû implémenter, le gouvernement de Justin Trudeau, comme bien des gouvernements dans le monde, ils ont dû implémenter tellement de choses qui ont fait de l'implémentation. Ils ont implémenté bien des choses, bien des programmes pour avoir la continuité du collectif du Canada. Le roi est absent, c'est le temps pour la République, c'est comme ça que je chante le rock-and-roll. Bon, bien sûr, le rock-and-roll, le rock-and-roll, le rock-and-roll, le rock-and-roll. Et bien sûr, c'est de cette manière-là qu'il faut se prononcer. Qu'il faut se prononcer de cette manière. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, on va prendre mon 10 000, ton 10 000 et son 10 000, mon 10 000, moi j'ai 10 000 $ de dette, de côte à côte, d'océan à océan, on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, on va la mettre ensemble. Toute cette dette-là, ça va être l'argent initial pour une nouvelle banque. Toute la dette publique-privée, incluant mon 10 000, moi j'ai 10 000 $ à la Banque royale du Canada. Mon 10 000, ton 10 000, on va faire une refusion, on va faire la création de cette nouvelle banque. On va convertir toute la dette publique-privée dans la devise des États-Unis. Cet argent-là, on va mettre bien sûr ensemble avec la devise des États-Unis. Parce que les États-Unis sont dans une situation similaire de la géopolitique, puis pas seulement de la géopolitique, on a notre propre intérêt pour avoir les meilleures relations ensemble, puis se fusionner. Puis bien sûr, les États-Unis sont dans la même situation des finances publiques privées. Des finances publiques privées, c'est parallèle, hein? C'est vraiment similaire aux États-Unis que nous au Canada. On est en crise, les deux, public, privé. Ben des gens. La classe moyenne, il y en a qui disent, ben la classe moyenne, ça a pas mal disparu, hein, selon la COVID. Fait que, avec la dette, là, le surendettement, puis c'est l'intérêt c'est le problème. Le problème, c'est que l'intérêt, ça a doublé. Plus que doublé de 20,3 milliards à 46,5. Fait que c'est ça le problème. Fait que je pose la question à Carney, mon oncle Carney, premier ministre, qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? Parce que l'économie canadienne n'a pas doublé, puis le même principe financier s'applique de l'individu. Si l'individu, citoyen XX, elle, citoyen, citoyenne, si là, mettons, moi j'ai pas de carte de crédit moi-même, j'ai une ligne de crédit, mais mettons, l'intérêt, ça saute de 156. Salut! Attention, il y a des roches. Ah, ok. C'est la déroche, il connaît le terrain peut-être. Fait que, bien sûr, pour avoir cette condition de neurodivergence, que j'avise toujours les citoyens qui aient des roches. Là. Bon, pour dire bien sûr qu'on n'a pas le choix. Là. C'est, imaginez-vous que le citoyenne, l'intérêt que vous avez payé, qu'elle, lui, ils ont payé en 2020-2021, c'était 156. 156 double, c'est 312. Mettons, ça saute à 333. Si ça saute à 333, là, ça veut dire qu'il faut qu'elle, lui, citoyen, coupe, à moins que le salaire double. Si le salaire ne double pas, comme l'économie canadienne n'a pas doublé, c'est sûr qu'il faut il faut couper dans le budget, là. Il faut couper dans le budget. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? C'est ça que je demande. On va couper dans le budget canadien du Canada. M. Carney, premier ministre, qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? On va devoir couper quelque chose. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? On va devoir couper quelque chose. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper dans le budget canadien? On va couper quoi? Le service de sanitation, ceux qui ramassent les poubelles, les vidanges, la police, les prisons, la GRC, Gendarmerie royale du Canada. On va couper quoi? Le service de santé, la défense. Ben, imaginez-vous, là. On est à veille d'avoir un effondrement. Vous imaginez, c'est le même principe financièrement, là. Mathématique, le principe mathématique financier, c'est qu'on, comme un individu, doit couper si l'intérêt double. Si l'intérêt double, là, plus que double sur la dette, sans que le salaire, même si le salaire augmente de 5%, 10, 15%, il faut que ça double pour maintenir. Pour le maintenir, la même dépense, le même budget, il faut que ça double. Là. La moyenne salariale, l'augmentation de la moyenne salariale qui a augmenté de février 2020, quand moi-même j'ai eu la COVID et je l'ai survécu, jusqu'à l'année passée, en 5 ans, c'était 4,4 %. Fait que, avec le taux de vie qui augmente, mais c'est la TRD, c'est une urgence, là. C'est une situation financière publique pour le Canada, c'est une urgence. La théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est la théorie qui peut nous sauver, puis c'est la seule solution, quelque chose qui ressemble à ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Dans ma TRD est inclus la théorie d'intégration monétaire, je vous l'explique. On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000 à la Banque Royale, ton 10 000 de côte à côte. Tout cet argent-là, on va faire la conversion dans la dette des États-Unis. On va faire la conversion de toute la dette publique-privée canadienne, incluant mon 10 000 de côte à côte. On va convertir dans la devise des États-Unis, dans le dollar des États-Unis. On va faire l'addition avec les dollars des États-Unis. Tout cet argent-là, ça va fonder une nouvelle banque. Parce que dans ma théorie de la refusion de la dette est inclus la théorie d'intégration monétaire comme qu'on fait en Europe. Fait qu'on va faire la création de l'unité d'échange universelle, une nouvelle monnaie basée sur la valeur des États-Unis. Oui. U point unité, point échange ou point universel. U point unité, point échange universel. U point unité, point échange universel. Oui. U point unité, point échange ou point universel. L'unité d'échange universel aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. 10%. Ça peut être en bas, 3,33, 7,18, 4,18, 9,3, 6,1, en bas de 10%. Fait que ça va être le taux d'intérêt. Ça va être le taux d'intérêt. Moins de 10%. Pas plus, ça va être par principe. Avec cet argent-là, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure du Québec, bâtir du collectif dans l'Amérique du Nord, parce qu'on va faire binational, Canada et États-Unis. On va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, financer le construire, bâtir les 44, le chiffre après 43 avant 45, c'est 44. 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire, au Pakistan ou en Inde, ou que ce soit en Europe, entre la Russie et l'Ukraine, une guerre nucléaire. On va bâtir les 44 tunnels dans ce point de vue. On va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique. On va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme, bâtir d'autres centrales d'Hydro-Québec, rebâtir l'infrastructure, bâtir les ponts, financement massif. On va faire un recensement. Canada et États-Unis ensemble, on va faire un passeport commun, on va finir avec la frontière, on va se mettre pour la défense, la sécurité, les ports et les aéroports. Les ports et les aéroports, les ports et les aéroports. Vous voyez, c'est pour ça que j'avertis les gens, parce qu'il y a des branches comme ça qui tombent. Vous voyez, ces branches-là, là, ça a tombé d'en haut, fait que ça peut tomber, mettons, sur mes cousines cyclistes qui tombent, ils sont là, fait qu'il faut que je la mette, c'est ça, des branches. Ça, vous me voyez dans bien des vidéos depuis bien des années, c'est pour que je fais du nettoyage. Ici, je ramasse des canettes, des choses comme ça, puis j'avertis les gens, comme celle-là, vous voyez, celle-là est en veille de tomber ici. Ça en veille de tomber, ça. Tu sais? C'est pour ça que je dis, j'avertis les gens, tu sais. Vous voyez, ça c'est des branches là. Ces branches-là, s'il peut y avoir du vent, ça peut tomber sur vous. Check, ça là. C'est une branche. Ça a tombé, ça tombe d'en haut. C'est pour ça que j'avertis les gens. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est la seule et unique solution. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution avec cet argent-là. On va faire bien des choses en commun. Ben des choses en commun. La théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, puis bâtir les 4. Le temple de la déesse oubliée. La maison du dragon, écarlate, rouge. Ben, écarlate, c'est rouge. Avec la pyramide. La maison du dragon en rouge écarlate. Le temple de la déesse oubliée. Puis, sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis, ben, le Colisée du peuple nord-américain impérial. S'il vous plaît, laissez pas des canettes comme ça ici. Faites le nettoyage, ça ne me dérange pas, vous buvez, mais on a besoin, bien sûr, pour faire... Oh, il y a une nouvelle roche, je viens de la remarquer. Il y a une nouvelle roche, quelqu'un qui a contribué pour parler de la déesse qui danse. Je vois que c'est une nouvelle. Il n'avait pas avant. Et bien sûr, pour faire bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée, le palais du peuple arc-en-ciel, et bien sûr faire bien des choses en commun ici pour la continuité du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. On va faire des pompes Puis on va se faire des pompes, puis on va s'en aller. Fait que, prêtez allégeance, Légion, vous êtes famille, soutenez le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse, qui est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. Puis je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique a été sur ma médecine et thérapie de choix. Vous avez des belles fleurs ici, fait que vous pouvez venir explorer la montagne, mais juste soyez prudents, puis vous voyez la végétation, puis ici, côte à côte, on va bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée, puis la maison pyramide du dragon, et le palais du peuple arc-en-ciel pour les neurodivergents, puis ma communauté LGBTQ en étant monsieur, madame, 50-50, moi-même androgyne pansexuel, rock&roll le 24/24, géopolitique 24/24, entraînement physique, mais des fois je dors, je me repose, puis je prends du bain pour les muscles, mais il faut le faire, fait que bien sûr, de côte à côte, océan, l'armée du dragon, prêtez allégeance Légion, l'armée du dragon. La déesse qui danse et les 12 institutions de partenariat public-privé pour le 21e siècle, pour le service, sécurité puis défense, et pour le plaisir, et pour la bâtir, plus de construction, bâtir puis rebâtir, puis pour la joie aussi, pour le financement, pour le Collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, pour le Royaume, pour les 63, les 10 provinces, 3 territoires, et 50 États. Ensemble, une monnaie commune, un passeport commun, sécurité, service, défense commune, parce que 9.1, les nouvelles protocoles du dragon de 9.1, il faut les établir puis les mettre ensemble. Et bien sûr, on a une nouvelle, puis on va faire ici de l'entraînement physique. Prêtez allégeance au quelle lumière et à l'ombre, quelle lumière et à l'ombre, quelle lumière et à l'ombre. Cause de l'entraînement physique que je vous suggère à faire. Et on va faire de l'entraînement physique avec ça. On va mettre ça ici. Les rocks. Get ready for the cadence. Pour la cadence. Cadence, Dragonomic cadence, let's go. Get ready for the cadence. Get ready for the cadence. Let's go. Let's get it ready for the cadence on the rock and roll. Get ready, we're gonna do some of those push-ups. Probably do the Dragonomy. Dragonomy, let's go. Get ready for some P. U. Get ready for some push-ups. Dragonomy, here we go with the backpack on the go. Cadence, probably do the Dragonomy. For the farmers and the butchers and the bakers. For the butchers and the bakers and the farmers. Electricians and the plumbers. Firefighters. Gotta get some rock and roll on the road up in you know. Gotta get it for the left, for the right. Gotta get the cadence. Ain't nobody born a dragon. Drop down and give me push-ups. Let's go, push-ups. Push-ups on the go. Gotta scream some rock and roll. Push-ups on the go. Gotta scream some rock and roll. Gotta give it for the nurses, doctors and the plumbers, electricians, firefighters. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Gotta get it for the singers, for the butchers and the plumbers. Gotta get it, train conductors. Gotta get it for the road, for the train conductors. Gotta give it for the push-ups. Gotta give it for the lovers and the butchers and the bakers. Gotta sing it for the nurses, doctors and the firefighters, electricians and the plumbers. Gotta get ready to go. Just one more song, ready to go. Let's go, push-ups. Drop down and give me push-ups. That's some push-ups for the road. Got some of that sweet rock and roll. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are dragonesses. Some of my dragons are dragonesses. Some of my dragons are dragonesses. Let me see for the road, train conductors and the plumbers. Gotta get ready to hum it for the hot and the bird ready to spark. Get ready for those flipping some hamburgers, cheeseburgers, fast food workers. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I don't need no magic potion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We don't need no magic potion. Just some dragon cadence and some sun. And the stars be the suns. Let's go, give me some push-ups. Dropping down without looking up. Go, push-ups. Gotta give it for those train conductors and the truckers. Gotta give it for the dragons. Gotta give it so you know. Left or right, ready to sew. Gotta kiss, sometimes just hiss. Got a ray ready to bliss. And for the lovers, for the butchers, train conductors and the plumbers, ready to rock and roll. Who's ready to rock and roll? We're marching steps for the farmers and the butchers, electricians and the bakers. Shake those hands, do some push-ups, construction workers on the cranes. Going up, ready to lanes. Skyscrapers building up. Smaller housing, that's what's up. Way, who knows how the pyramids. And another push-up, here we go. Get ready to drop on the floor. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. On the go. That's ready to rock and roll. Go. That is what it is. Let's build here the pyramid. House of the dragon. Pyramid here. Pyramid. House of the dragon. Pyramid scarlet, red, crimson, and Forgotten Goddess Temple on the Canadian-US border. Build the North American People's Imperial People's Coliseum to be for sportus in perpetuitis, for sports in perpetuitis, for sports in perpetuity, and of course to be for sports in perpetuity, 24/7 sports. And the first event is going to be Dragon versus Trump. Dragon versus Trump, Dragon versus Trump, Dragon versus Trump, and that's where we're going to build the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow neurodivergent community and fellow LGBTQ. As we go, get ready for more cadence. In the sun, we rock and roll. We're gonna actually go a little bit around about it, but I need a little bit of that hydration. Instead of going out on the other side completely. Let me see what time it is, and I guess we can do that. We're gonna have to go, I guess, go back. Either we go by this side, by the stairs, or we go by the other side, whatever the case may be. Go. Hey, for the cadence, property of the Dragon Army, property of the Dragon Army, property of the Dragon Army. That's what we gotta get doing with that. And that's what we're gonna get. For the farmers and the truckers, butchers, train conductors. Gotta sing it as we go. Dragon Army SSD, Service Security and Defense. SSD, Service Security and Defense. When I ask who am I, you can answer greatest cuckold in the universe. Who am I, Rainbow Dragon? Greatest cuckold in the universe. Who am I, Rainbow Dragon? You're the greatest cuckold in the universe. The biggest ever to existed cuckold in the universe. Some of my dragons are homos. Some of my dragons are bi. Some of my dragons are pan. Give it up. We march also for the homos. For the black and for the white. For the rainbow, for the black and for the white. For the rainbow, for the black. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are white, black. Some of my dragons are rainbow. That's why we gotta go. And so you to know is the fruit, there we go. Train conductors, electricians. Gotta give it for the sun is shining. Sun is shining, that's a whip. And you know we do the trip. And we go in the sun. Somebody tanning, that's the one. For the plumbers, electricians, train conductors, and the bakers. Hey, for those daycare workers changing diapers. For the daycare workers changing diapers. For the daycare workers changing diapers. For the daycare workers changing diapers. Gotta go for the plumbers. Gotta go for the train conductors. Gotta sing it, the hydration. Ready to rock and roll, that's the nation. See the birds, hear the bird chirp. Not sure what type of bird that is though. Hear that? That's maybe not sure. I have plenty of birds here, hawks also. Hear that? I'm gonna try to see where it is. Maybe there. Oh, you hear that? And if it's, you can hear it on the camera. Oh, I think it's there. Oh, there it is. I hear it, but I don't see it. And see, that's another branch there, ready to fall. See, that's a dangerous branch. So watch it when you come here. See how steady that is? That's about to crack. If it's windy, it can come right here. Where are you, birdie? I want to see you. I love birds, birds, birds. Oh, I see a nest there. I love hawks, but that's not a hawk. So beautiful. Hear that? Hear that? Hear that? has a rhythm. Not sure what it is. It's maybe a... Hard to tell by the sound. See? Yeah, I'm not sure what type of bird. It just sounds nice, you know? That's what it is, man. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. That's what it is, man. You hear that? That's what it is. Back to cadence. Hydro-Quebec workers. Hydro-Quebec workers. Hydro-Quebec workers. Gotta give it for the butchers, bakers, Hydro-Quebec workers. Gotta go ocean to ocean. So you know we sing and love it. So you know we sing and love it. Yeah. Lovers doing some of that loving. Gotta give it for the left, for the right and for the beds. Gotta get it for the left, for the right and for the center. Ready to rock and roll unto heavens. For the doors and for the scores. Gotta give me some more. Gotta get a little bit of that hydration, and I gotta get rid of these, you know. Here's how summer cadence, rock and roll with the echo. Gotta give it for the butchers, bakers, nurses, electricians, and the plumbers. Shake it left and right with your head and with your toes and with your butt. Oh yeah, that's how it is, you know. So it is. That's what we're gonna get doing, man. get it left and right. Gotta get it out of sight. Gotta get it left and right. Thank you, merci. I got him. One day you won't kill us. Got him. Drone operators, come on. They won't kill us. They won't kill us. They won't kill us.
I don't yet.
There we go. It's cold-blooded. Cold-blooded. Cadence. That's it, you know. Going down now. There's many ways to go down. You can go down by whatever side you want, I guess. Gonna go down by here. Gonna get it on by the side. Can see all the way to the 50 states, maybe. I guess Vermont, and get it on the go with that, and get it on the go. That's what we're gonna get doing, you know. So, cadence, you know. Cadence. Cadence on the stairs going down. Cadence on the stairs going down. Cool.
And she's like that.
I go. Oh, thank you, merci. Thank you. Gotta get a little of that priority. N.A.C.W.P.
Ben, pour 20 mètres, je pense que tu as quand même...
yeah, man. I'm scaring the kids, man. That's hip. This is what I wanted to see, man. Yellow flowers. Really nice and gorgeous. Oh yeah. So nice. Anyways, continuing the cadence, I guess. Continuing the cadence. You know. Continuing the cadence, you know. That's what it is, you know. That's what it is with that. Cadence as we go down the mountain. Go down the mountain on the road. Farmers, butchers, electricians, and the plumbers. Gotta give it for you know. Gotta give it so you blow. And the snow is melting, rock and roll. No more snow, I guess. It's May. Turn your heads left or right as you go up and about. Let me go another round for the butchers and the electricians and the plumbers, firefighters. Gotta get it so you know. Up and down another road. Up and down a rock and roll. Up that round and round we go. Let's go, dynamic cadence, finishing up good, strong. Nobody's born a dragon. Hey, some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are go. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are white, black. Some of my dragons are rainbow. That's what it is, that's where we go. Rainbow dragons on the road. Rainbow dragons spitting fire, nonetheless, and yes, and sire. Rainbow dragons still spitting fire. Hey, hey, hey. Pledge your allegiance, legions, to our family. Dragon Army cadence is proper to the Dragon Army. Create a freestyle mode by Rainbow Dragon. That's what it is with that, and that's how we go. And here we are, the mountain.